So my name is Brendon Buckley. I am with Johnson Controls, and as you heard, been with Johnson about 10 years, but we're in a group at Johnson that you may or may not know about, and I'm not going to talk about all the stuff we do, but here's what you do need to know. I am not the guy you ask about chillers. I don't know what, I can't even fake it. So folks on my team, in the healthcare technology group, what we do is we specialize in clinical systems, facility, IT, pulling all that together. So if you really think about it, it's delivering the smart hospital. So background, IBM, before that, Siemens Medical, been in the EMR space, so we're all a bunch of healthcare nerds, kind of our own little island of misfit toys. The other thing I forgot to mention on that is my presentations never go long, so we should be good. But we're on a journey together, all right? So you heard about this. We've heard about all this exponential change that's happening within our environment, things that like, wow, this, some of the stuff seems awfully Star Trek, far out. But let's be honest, it is happening, and it's happening a lot quicker than a lot of us thought. So what I'm going to do today, in the brief amount of time that I have, we'll talk through, kind of what is out there today. What are we doing, from a technology, from a systems integration perspective, all the way to how are we leveraging AI and where is that going to go? What's that potential really look like that you need to be mindful of? So it really starts off in understanding kind of our path. So as you see, we started off with systems integration. We do that today, all right? But 10 years ago, we were all so excited that we're going to have, hey, look, we can make facility systems and IT and clinical. We can all make all that run on the same wire. Okay, we did that. All right, we saved some wiring. That was cool, right? Saved some infrastructure cost. That was good. But here's the thing that's interesting. We came up with the reality of, now what? What do we do with all that data? So let's pull it all together. Let's do data aggregation. Let's get all that data that you heard. We're obviously a very data-rich source. Hospitals have a ton of data. We heard that as well. That is very, very true. So now it's all this unstructured data coming into these huge repositories. A term that's used out in the industry is a data lake. You guys ever heard of data lake? A few of you? Well, guess what? It's more like a data swamp. Okay, if we're honest, it's messy. And okay, so now we have all this data coming in. We haven't talked about all the IoT data coming in now. So that's even adding to it. So now we get into our third mark here. So the third mark on the automation and response, right? So that's taking this data and doing things with the data, right? Doing alerts, analytics, dashboards, helping us make decisions with all this data. So, that is a huge area. That's really kind of where we are today. We're in between kind of data aggregation and automation and response. So leveraging all of this data. Where we're going is, and what you've heard is, it's the AI piece, and I'll get into a few examples of that. Before I get going, I want to at least spend a little bit of time and talk about what are we doing today? What's some of the innovations and some of the stuff that's impacting, our hospitals today as we're building them? What's pushing the envelope with today's technology? We've all heard about the smart rooms. Everybody, how many hospitals here have a pilot or by show of hands, has a pilot or considering building a pilot or are deploying smart room technologies in their inpatient settings? It's quite a few, right? We're getting involved, obviously, in a lot of pilots as well, and it is exciting. But the thing is that's really interesting is we really started off with, okay, we're facilities folks, right? How do we provide a little more control and put it back in the hands of the patients? And we did that with, let's put building automation systems and tie it in so that we can allow patients to control temperature, lighting, even blinds or chromatic glass, all those kind of technologies within the hands of the patient. Let's make it accessible on the pillow speaker. Let's make it so that we tied in to patient infotainment systems like GetWell, telehealth, all of those. And we thought that was pretty good. We took it even a step further. Let's do bring your own device app and give it so the patients get to the room, they can control it on their phones. How cool is that? And then we get leapfrogged, and now we're doing voice. And unfortunately, there's a few people in my company that remember that I said 2 years ago, that's never going to happen. There's too much privacy laws. There's no way that's going to happen. I know, and I won't call it out, there's a hospital in here today that's attending the session that's already deployed this. and is doing the Alexa voice automation into their hospitals. So we're actually working with the companies that are doing that to actually provide the ability for patients to say, I'm hot, I'm cold, and have the temperature of the room automatically adjust. You know, turn on the lights, turn off the lights, but also taking to that next step where I need a blanket. You know, non-clinical requests. I need ice chips. What's for dinner? So automating a lot of those types of responses through our voice. But that's for the smart patient room. What about the staff? How do we take care of the staff? Staff duress is obviously a big issue. Staff safety, how do we provide that level of, you know, security for the patients that are dealing with distressed family members, patients that may be on medications, other staff members. You know, healthcare is not necessarily the safest place to work, if we're honest. And you know, we've been doing this about 4 years, 5 years, where you use the staff duress button on our TLS badge, hit the button, it automatically notifies security, right? Shows up in the command center. You know, Brendon Buckley is being attacked in room 306. Send help. And it shows where I am on the map. Great stuff, right? So, a little story here. Actually did a hospital, we were deploying this. It was pretty early on, and then when we started working in the staff duress area. And we're doing a walkthrough literally 2 weeks before go live, 10-story patient tower, walking through with the chief nursing officer. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little on edge. She's pretty tough. We're going through, things are going well, the visit's going great. We're like 20 minutes into it. She looks at me straight in the eyes and pushes her button. And by the way, it made that exact sound. Pushes her button, and I look at her and I go, you do know that's live. That just notified security downstairs. They're responding. And she goes, yeah, I know. And sits there. All right, so she's timing it. Fair enough. Two things are going through my mind. One, I hope security is really fast. I hope they get up here, because she's not somebody that you want to mess with. Can anybody guess what the second thing is? I'm in the room alone with her. Can anybody think of the second thing that's going through my mind? Okay? So I literally am like sliding away from her because I'm thinking, God, they're going to come through that door. And I know one of the guys, his nickname is Tiny, and he earned it. And so I'm getting away so I don't get tackled. Everything was fine. They get up there. They leave. It was about a minute and a half. I'm kind of doing a little inside mental high five. And awesome. That went well. So a minute and a half, that was pretty good. And she looks at me and she goes, so would you like to be choked for a minute and a half? So there we go. The answer, of course, is no. So what do we do? Well, again, systems integration. We're tied to nurse call. We're tied to the mobile devices. We're tied to security. We're tied to RTLS. I know where people are. Find the 10 closest people and notify them too. Send the alerts on their phones. Could be in the room right next door. Take a response time from a minute and a half to 15 seconds. So I just mentioned that to kind of tell a story to really explain that, small things, leveraging technology a little bit better, be a little bit smarter in your investment, really can go a long way. On that note, leveraging the location services just to make it easier for transportation. One of the things that absolutely makes patients crazy is if you're on an elevator, they're bringing you up and it stops at 5 different floors and staff members are getting on and off. So something as simple as put a sensor in an elevator, and when it detects a patient actually in the room, in the elevator, don't stop at all the floors. All right, simple stuff, but it goes a long way from a patient experience perspective. Parking. Has anybody figured out how to have perfect parking at your hospitals? Right? What's the number one complaint that security has? Where did I leave my car? Right? Because let's be honest, if you're walking in or if you're coming to a hospital, you may or may not be in the right state of mind where you're thinking, I'm going to remember exactly where I parked. So this technology that you see here, kind of the lighting system, this has been around for a while. Some of you may even have it or have used it. We do a lot of projects in Asia. We first started leveraging these lighting systems to, obviously, green light, red light shows where their space is available or not, right? Green is available, red is not. In this situation, we're using them for wayfinding. We take 3 of the lights, the 3 program it, so 3 of the lights can take you down a corridor and take you to the closest spot to where your appointment is. Think about that. So license plate read, if we know your license plate, we got you when you come in, track you in, and actually show the lights to where you're supposed to park. To the closest to the door that you should go into. Okay, that's today. The other part of that is send a text message once you arrive. So once the car is detected in that spot, send a text message. Please go straight into the doors, take the elevator to the second floor. We'll be glad to greet you as you come in. Pretty cool, right? As a patient, that'd be nice. But more importantly, when I'm leaving, I just want to hit a button and help me find my car again. All right, so if anybody's seen that Seinfeld episode where they're walking through the garage, that's me. So the other part of this, we'll talk about Asia for a second. Can anybody name the world's largest social media application? WeChat. Heard it right there. Everybody assumes it's Facebook because we're Americans, right? And some Canadians. But we always assume it's Facebook. It is WeChat. So when we do projects in China, we interface to WeChat. We interface to WeChat so they can do scheduling, right? This is standard. They do scheduling. They can check queue times in different departments, okay? They also can pay with it. Facebook is trying to get there. There's ways to go, but this is absolutely where it's heading. Now this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so any fans of the movie Minority Report? Or have you seen it? Maybe not fans, but have you seen it? Did you guys feel comfortable after watching that? Right? I mean, from a technology perspective, it's pretty amazing. For those of you who have not seen the movie, and this is not a big Tom Cruise plug, but what it is probably from a movie perspective, the one that that and if you watch Black Mirror, it's all the kind of the same, what are the bad sides of the technology? It starts off good, how does it go bad? Well, we're going to focus on the good side because I think we're all pretty aware of how the bad side is. For example, has anybody actually read an acceptable use policy in this room? You guys are being serious, right? No one has, right? I never have. How many of you signed? You heard earlier, we all trust Amazon. We all trust Apple. Think of how much data is there about us. Okay. There are companies, even from a shopping perspective, that even track how long you held the hanger. And then we'll send you that information when you get back to your home. It knows that you actually looked at that item. And it knows from a credit card, it actually lines up face credit card and that you're holding that item. And then all of a sudden, it starts showing up in the side advertisements, or you start getting emails about that. Have you guys ever had that happen? I've had it happen 3 times already. That data is being used. So let's talk about the happy, good side of it. But to do that, I want to do first a quick little experiment around AI. We've been talking about AI a lot. I think we've had 3 sessions now where AI has been featured pretty prominently. AI is so overused you guys will be saying cloud and IoT, all right? But with the AI that is really, really exciting, the machine learning piece, what we call neural networks, those are probably the most exciting and the most probably potential to break through how we're treating healthcare today. And let's just take a look at it from how the systems actually work. So I'm gonna have to probably pick a volunteer. And Brian, you shouldn't have sat up in the front. So here's an experiment. We'll time this. Brian, what was and by the way, he does not know this is coming. So we'll treat him as a hostile volunteer. And so very first car you ever owned, what color was it? Gray. What color was the interior? Black. Okay. What was the engine? 305. 305. You took a second to think about that. Not bad. What was the engine? V8. 305. Okay. We'll go around the room. This is interesting. Sir in the blue, what was your first car you ever had? What was the make and model? And what was the interior? Beige. Okay. How many, was it manual? Yes. Okay. What color was the car? Okay. So we accessed information. We went back in our minds. Was everybody able to pull that and think of your first car that quickly? Okay? All right. So what happened there? Your brain, and was it easier to think about it the second time? So when I asked you the question the second time, it popped much faster. Truth be told, I don't know this with you too, most folks usually take about 3 seconds to think about the first car color. These guys are probably car nuts. But it usually will take, you think about the information, your brain is accessing it. And what happens, and it's really important to understand, is within the brain, and this is what the software is modeled after, it looks at it in 5, 6,000 million, a lot of different ways. It sends out information or sensors to find that information and probe it. So here's the car color over here. It's trying to find it. So you access the information, it goes and looks in all different places, finds it, and then pulls it back. Okay, so what's happening is it's accessing the information, and then when you think about the second time, it's much easier. So think of anything, you forgot somebody's name, and all of a sudden you remember it, and then you think about it again. You don't spend as much time thinking about it because your mind mapped the way to that information. That's AI. That's what AI is doing. It's taken from a neural perspective, it's modeling our brains so that information that is being stored, all right, and remember, we're talking an amazing amount of information, just like our brains. It is able to then realize, here's the fastest path to recall that information. Okay, that is the AI that we're really talking about. That is the machine learning. That is how they learn. So I just want to hit on that because that is something that we're looking at probably one of the biggest advances in our existence to date. And it is really modeling after our own minds and the ability to recall and improve the way that we access information and then doing something with it. So a great example of that is really facial recognition and check-in. So the concept of really how do we better analyze our faces? How do we leverage that? Can we use it for check-in? I thought 3 years ago this was crazy. Well, this will be out within a year. And this is being able to actually track, not just, I got out of my car, I'm now showing up at my appointment, and as detected, I've literally checked in, because it knows the schedule, the faces of who are supposed to be there, but also be able to track me through the hospital. The days of having real-time location badges and tags and Bluetooth, it's going to be your face for a lot of it. The other part of this is command centers. So you start looking at the power of AI and what it's going to do for command centers, it's huge. But I don't know if we're going to have the big command centers that we have. This is one that we did in Canada. Everything we do, facility systems, the security, but also capacity management, where you sit everybody in a room, you have environmental services, you have the ED, you've got transport, all in these rooms, coordinating care, trying to get people in and out, and also manage any type of critical conditions, all in one command center. The reason they have a command center is to have everybody next to each other so you can coordinate that care and make that happen. Watch for this to get a lot smaller, and where a lot more decisions are being made automatically using AI. That machine learning piece where it starts to identify and see different situations and anticipate. This is really, I think, going to impact how command centers are going to be designed and how some of them may not even be around in the next maybe 15 years. But I kind of want to end on the adaptive patient room. And this is really, when you think about it, we were so excited about having smart patient rooms. Right? We were so excited about doing environmental control. But what if that patient room knows a lot more about you? We just talked about all this data that can be used. What if it knows about where you're from? What if it knows your favorite hobby, sports team? All right, what if it knows everything about you? All right, what if it knows and can adjust the artwork, digital artwork, and color schemes and smells, all that within your room, just for you? What if it knows why you're there? Think about that. What if it knows the diagnosis that you've been given? It's just ICD codes, right? It's an EMR. What if it knows the treatments and procedures that you're going through? This is a lot more than just providing, patient education. It is having the room respond and know when you're supposed to be discharged and to adjust the environment to help you get there. But most importantly, and this is the one thing I think we all need to hear when we're in inpatient setting. What if it's able to kind of give you that feeling of, you got this. You're going to be okay. Think of the power of that. That's really what we're talking about. And I think from where this touches the patient and where we can really have buildings respond and be truly leveraged as an instrument of care, this is how that happens. And with all the data that's coming in that you're seeing, here's a positive use for all that data. So to wrap up here, just leave on a few final thoughts. In this session, in this next couple of days, you have a lot of information thrown out about all the technology, AI. What does this mean? It's going to happen. We know that. Keep an open mind. Don't always try to find ways to make it not happen, but be cautiously supportive. And when I say cautiously supportive, I really mean, you be aware of the risks, but don't try to be shut down by the risk. Manage the risk. How do you move forward? Because it's going to happen. And heads up, it really is happening faster than you all think. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and have you guys have a great week.
Thank you.